Throughout my A-level Spanish course, I've studied numerous Catholic festivals and immersed myself in the stories of Franco's dictatorship and the Spanish conquest of South America. But until recently, I was completely blind to a forgotten part of Spanish history, one completely overshadowed by modern narratives. How many of you know that for a span of around 700 years, Spain was ruled by Islamic North Africans and was called Al-Andalus? In the year 711, Muslim forces invaded and in 7 years took control of the entire Iberian Peninsula. The traditional story for this is that an oppressed Christian chief went to the governor of North Africa, Musa ibn Nusayr, with a plea against the tyrannical Visigoth rulers of Spain. Musa responded by sending the young general Tariq bin Ziyad with an army of about 7,000 troops into the Iberian Peninsula. And by the year 720, after armies were easily defeated, Spain was entirely under Muslim control. What followed was fascinating. A golden age where colleges and libraries were established and poetry, architecture, and literature flourished. This stability came with the establishment of the Andalusian Umayyad dynasty, which lasted from 756 to 1031. Both Muslims and non-Muslims made massive contributions to the growing society, and Arabic became the lingua franca of Al-Andalus. Though its strong ties to Islam, what drew most Andalusians towards Arabic was its secular use in poetry, philosophy, and almost all intellectual pursuits. Such a culture of intellectualism had not existed in Europe for centuries. Hence, it's fair to say that Al-Andalus became the European capital for scholarly and art and academic works. Though ruled by Islamic North Africans, Al-Andalus, I would say, was a truly multicultural society. Jews and Christians enjoyed many freedoms under the Muslim rulers. They were not forced to live in ghettos or other special occasions, and they were also not prevented from following their faith. They were also not restricted in any particular ways of earning a living. Prestigious jobs such as working as bankers or dealing in gold and silver were extremely popular. They also worked as civil servants for the Islamic rulers, and this was used to help strengthen diplomatic ties with other nations. Many historians argue that they were treated better than conquered people were to have expected during that period of history. Nonetheless, the stature of Islam, and particularly of Al-Andalus's Muslim rulers, was unchallenged. I'm going to go away from the topic for just 1 second and want to gauge your knowledge. How many of you have heard of or visited the Alhambra in Granada? Let's see a show of hands. So quite a few. But how many of you have heard of Medina Azahra? A lot less. Well, let's dive into this architectural masterpiece, because I believe that no site better highlights the stature of Islam and of the Muslim leaders of Al-Andalus better than Medina Azahra. In the year 936, the first caliph of Cordoba, Abdul Rahman III, commissioned the construction of an 115-hectare city just 6 kilometers west of Cordoba. It was constructed in 3 tiers and sat on a hillside. Historians mention 10,000 men working daily to construct the palace complex alone. Rich marbles of gold, red, violet, and the skilled work of artisans from the best quarries helped bring the palace complex to life. The first tier housed the caliph's residence, and it could be seen very clearly from the city of Cordoba as a symbol of his power over the lavish kingdom he governed. It also had an incredible panoramic view of the surrounding landscape, the gardens, and nearby cities. The middle tier housed the offices and homes of government officials, as well as numerous reception halls. The most notable of them is indefinitely the Salon Rico. Here, the caliph sat on his throne and presided over many courtly functions, such as the celebration of military victories, the celebration of religious events, and the reception of foreign diplomats. Many of the bases and columns are inscribed with praise for Abdul Rahman, again showing us the incredible stature that the rulers held over Al-Andalus. However, by the year 1010, the city laid in ruins, plundered and destroyed during the civil wars that led to the collapse of the dynasty. After being cannibalized for its stones, Medinat al-Zahra lay forgotten for centuries. And it wasn't until the 20th century where excavations began, and there still is a lot to be done. But for me, one of the most notable findings is the inscription of surahs referring to paradise throughout the city. It's incredible that parts of history that have been forgotten are just sitting there in the rubble and leads us back into the Islamic parts of Spain that, as I mentioned before, are forgotten. But you may be asking after this long and possibly boring history lecture, what relevance does this have today? Well, one word: language. Let me introduce you to a key historical term: philology. It's the study of the structure, history, and the relationship between a language or languages. So let's dive into the philology behind Spanish and the Arabic influences subtly hidden within the words that are spoken every day by the ordinary Spanish person. I'm going to show you a table of some vocabulary pertaining to agriculture. Take a minute to read through it and just grasp what it contains. I can tell you, as an A-level Spanish student, I find this incredibly enthralling. I'm not going to stand here and go through every single word or translation, but let's just look at some notable ones. For example, for rice, arroz in Arabic, arauz in Hispanic Arabic, and arroz in modern-day Spanish. See the connection? Or how about for sugar, sukar in Arabic, azúcar in Spanish Arabic, and azúcar in modern-day Spanish. I find this really incredible just looking at it. I mean, who would have thought that azúcar, meaning sugar, derives from its Arabic translation? I certainly didn't realize this for a very, very long time. Or how about we look at some vocabulary pertaining to economics and government? Again, have a look at this table. Notably for me is qasr, meaning the residential palace of a ruler in Arabic, al-qasr in Hispanic Arabic, and al-qazar in Spanish. Castilian, which is the main type of Spanish spoken in Spain, has many Latin-derived linguistic constructs, similar to that of French or Italian, but its relationship to Arabic, with a completely different, and one may argue more complex grammatical structure, is just incredible. The toponymy is also very interesting to look into. It is a study of place names. Firstly, for Gibraltar, for example, the name of Gibraltar derives from two things. First of all, the name of the general who led the Islamic conquest into Andalus, Tariq bin Ziyad, and the Arabic word for Jabal, hill. Furthermore, the Arabic word Medina, meaning city, is present in many Spanish place names, such as Medina Sidonia and Medina del Campo. Even the Alhambra, which I mentioned earlier, its name comes from the Arabic word al-hamra, meaning the red. Now, it's quite uncertain why this language transmission occurs, but historians argue that it is likely due to the Mozarabic people, who were the Christians who lived under Muslim rule, who served as a channel between Arabic or Hispanic Arabic, which is completely dead today, and the Castilian Romance variety, which became the dominant language of Spain following the reconquest. Language transmission often occurs due to the prestige of one language, and Arabic was the language of academia, not just in Al-Andalus, but in the entirety of Europe. Through exploring the profound legacy of Al-Andalus, we uncover parts of history that are completely overshadowed by modern-day narratives. Architectural masterpieces, such as Medinat al-Zahra, or the subtle yet very evident connection between Spanish and Arabic, echoes a story not just of a conquest, but of a cultural transformation within Spain, one which fostered coexistence and learning. Thank you very much.